It was the end of summer, early fall, probably around September, October of 1987. I was 13 years old and it was a Sunday. I had gone to church that day and I had on my blue tiger stripe dress that was kind of form fitting because I was just getting my little figure, so I thought I was cute. And my dad had gone to hang out for the day with his friends, cousins, or whatever dude he normally does. And I was at home by myself watching television all day. And what happened was I saw a mouse, and I am deathly afraid of mice. So when I saw this mouse, I was afraid to get off the couch. So I ended up staying on the couch all day until that evening, that night. And I was watching um, Rags to Riches, that show that old girl from Martin, Gina, started out on. I was watching that. That show went off, and then I started watching this show called The Stepford Children or something like that. And somewhere toward the middle of that movie or something, my dad came in. I don't know what time it was, but he came and he sat down in this little chair next to me, and I was sitting in a couch um, that was this way, I guess what, vertical. And he was sitting next to me in a smaller chair. And I remember he sat back in the chair and he put his arm up on the chair where his arm kind of rested around my neck. And I just remember him saying, "Dad is a little high tonight." And that was not foreign to me. My dad had been smoking weed ever since we were kids. And I knew he smoked with his friends and his cousins and things like that. And I found out later that they were into some heavier stuff, cocaine. And so when he said, "Daddy's a little high," that didn't surprise me or, make me uncomfortable. I was used to it. So I just sat there watching television, and from what I figured, he fell asleep. But while I was sitting there, his arm, which was draped around my neck, sort of kind of fell like toward my chest. And I'm thinking, okay, he's just asleep. Maybe his arm is just falling. So I just started sliding down in the couch, so that his hand would move further from my breast. But the longer that I sat there, his hand didn't fall. It sort of kind of moved like he was moving it there. And 13, it's my dad, and me and my dad was like really, really close. I was a daddy's girl. I always say I was the son he wasn't raising. He was a black belt, and I took karate under him ever since I was like 5, and we were like really, really close. So it just kind of it threw me in that moment, like, okay, what's going on right now? Is this me? Am I thinking this? So just to be on the safe side, I got up, I sat up in the middle of the couch, and I sat there just watching TV. But I was still kind of thrown because I didn't understand if something had actually just happened or did I fathom it. Anyway, the show went off. I don't remember what the rest of it was about. I just remember the credits rolling, and I said, okay, I'm going to go get ready for bed. And I go in my bedroom, I get dressed for bed, and my dad calls me back out to the living room where he is. So I'm kind of nervous because I didn't understand what had just happened. But I go in there anyway because my dad was the type of man, when he called, you didn't ask no questions. He jumped, you say how high. So when he called me into the living room, that's what I did. I went where he was. Well, when I went in there, he asked me to braid his hair. Those that know my father had a lot of hair. He looked a lot like Shona from that movie, The Last Dragon. So he always had like a lot of hair and with a jerry curl with a part down the middle, and he wanted me to braid his hair. So I sat down on the couch, and he sat down between my legs, and I started braiding his hair. It wasn't nothing unusual. I had done it before, but this particular night, while I was braiding his hair, he started rubbing on my legs. I started putting two and two together from what had happened earlier. And I said, okay, something's not right here. Something is definitely going on tonight. So he started rubbing on my legs. He started going higher and higher. So I just stopped doing his hair. I got up. I went into my bedroom. I went and I laid down. I was confused. I didn't understand what was going on, what had happened. But somewhere in between all of that, I managed to fall asleep. And I don't know what time it was when he woke me up out of my sleep when he came into my room. I just remembered him being on top of me. I honestly didn't know it was him because we did live with my uncle at the time. And my thought process was, oh my God, I know this is not my uncle that's on me, but that's all I could fathom. I just couldn't fathom that my father, even after what he had done early that night, that he was in my room and on top of me. So the only thing that made me know it was him was because he was mumbling things or whatever. He was saying different things. And he actually called me his girlfriend at the time. He called me her name, which let me know, oh my God, this is my dad. And in that moment, I don't remember what I thought, what I felt. I just knew I was scared and I didn't fight. I laid there and I let him do whatever it was that he wanted to do to me. I don't remember in detail um, everything that he did, but what I do remember was him taking a condom, and I remember the wrapper. I remember him taking it out. I don't remember putting it on, but I remember what it felt like when he tried to insert himself inside of me. And when he did, I remember that. I remember that feeling. Um, I don't know how long all that went on. I know eventually he got up and I just laid there. I laid there all night. I didn't go back to sleep. I guess, just trying to figure everything out. And I stayed awake until it was time for me to go to school the next morning. And I got up, I got my clothes and everything together so I could go take my shower, because what I remembered is that I was just like really, really wet between my legs. And I needed to wash myself. And I was really sticky. And when I got up to go take my shower, he was sitting in this other little small chair, and he was sitting with his head down. And he called me over to him, and he grabbed me around my waist and he held me and he just cried and he cried and cried, and he apologized and he was sorry. He don't know what happened. It'll never happen again. And at some point he let me go. I went and took my shower and I went to school. I trusted him to believe that it wouldn't happen again, but it did happen again. And it happened almost every night for as long as I can remember, um, with me staying there with him for probably about a year, because it wasn't found out until about a year later. Within that year, my dad molested me, had sex with me at his whim. Um, when I would take my showers, he'd come knock on the door, ask me, do I want to come in and wash my bag? I say no. He said, are you sure? I say yes. And he'd stand there and peer through the door for a little while. And then eventually he would walk away. At least I was hoping he'd walk away, because I would stand still in the shower and wouldn't move until I figured he was gone. Um, he stopped letting my brother and my sisters come over. They would come like usually on the weekends. Sometimes my brother would come during the week, but he stopped them from coming over, so that he could have me all to himself. He stopped me from having company. The only ones that were allowed to come over were my cousin and my best friend. We took a trip to New Jersey, and anybody who knows and takes that ride, driving from North Carolina to New Jersey, is about a good 9 hours, especially as far as we had to go. And his hands was all over me the entire trip, from my breast and everything else. He just fondled me the whole entire trip, and most times his hands was inside my pants. Um, that particular summer, I spent with my mom's family, and when I came home after the summer and they dropped me off at my dad's house, he opened the door, he let me in, and then when he closed the door, he pulled me to him and he tried to kiss me in my mouth like I was his girl, his woman, his wife, or whatever, like he was greeting me. And I pulled away and I went into my room. He sat me down on the edge of the bed and showed me some stuff he had bought me, like a typewriter or word processor and the Anita Baker Rapture album. I've always loved music, so he bought me the Rapture album. And then he proceeded to tell me why what he was doing to me was good for both of us. His rationale was because so that he wouldn't have to deal with all those women, because my dad was a nice looking man. Like I said, he was a karate instructor. He had the muscles and everything. The women loved him. He had a lot of women. I don't know what he wanted with me. And his rationale was so that he wouldn't have to be with those women and so that I didn't have to experiment with uh, boys. And I really don't think I thought about experimenting with boys. And not, and then maybe I have. I don't know, but I don't think I had, at least not until that experiment with him. I don't know. But yeah, he there was one time that he called me into his room to fondle me, and I did not tell him that it was that time of the month. So yeah, you know what happened, and he was pissed. He was livid, but that was like my way of getting back at him, like ah, crazy, I know, but I didn't tell him. And what did he do? He looked at me and he called my name and gave me this look like, why you didn't tell me? Like, really, I need to tell you what's going on with my body to let you know before you touch on me. I'm your daughter. He tried to rationalize that. My dad literally had me like wifey in his house. I was cooking, cleaning, taking care of my siblings when they came over, and I slept in his bed. I literally slept in his bed until my sisters came over. More, yeah, my sisters came over on the weekends. And even sometimes then, I would still sleep in his bed because I didn't want them sleeping in his bed. I was scared of what he would do to them. Um, my dad, when he came into my room, he literally had sex with me. I don't, he didn't kiss me. He never forced himself, at least I don't remember ever just literally letting him kiss me, because for a long time I let him do a lot of things to me. And he would touch on me like I was his woman. He would suck on my breast like I was his woman, and touching on me while he's sucking on me. He did all of that for a long time, and I let him until I couldn't do it no more. And yet eventually I started fighting back. But when I would fight back, he'd only fight me more. Like when he would start sucking on my breast, I'd beat on his head, trying to get his head off me and sliding off his freaking Jerry curl. And all he'd do is fight me to do it more. I think he might have even got a thrill out of that. It even got to the point where he would chase me and I'd jump out of the bed and I'd stand up against the wall and he'd say, the spiders and the bugs are going to come out and get you. So I'm scared of bugs terribly. So I take off running into the living room and he'd chase me while he's laughing. He was laughing, chasing me, trying to get me to be sexual with him. My father was a sick son of a bitch. He was. There's no way around it. And I know a lot of people are going to be pissed to hear me tell my story, but it's not for you. It's to save somebody else. So I'll go with that. And because of his abuse, it opened the door for more abuse, more molestation, more sexual assault. I have been raped, molested, sexually assaulted, sexually abused, misused more times than I can count and would like to remember. A lot of it was passive. A lot of it was violent. I have had guns put to my head, knives to my throat. I have been thrown down in abandoned buildings, trailers, and on the back of trucks, in the back seat of cars, outside. I have been raped over and over and over, whether it was physically, whether it was mentally. And two of the longest relationships that I was in was with manipulating people who had tendencies like my dad. Because of what I had gone through, I ended up with people who used me and abused me in different aspects, but it was abuse still in the same. And many times I thought about killing myself. I did. By the grace of God, I didn't. I thought about it several times. I tried once and it almost worked. With all that being said, I have been successfully in my recovery for 8 years. And you can see from my strength, being able to share this with you without breaking down and crying and having a fit or going through any type of emotional breakdown, that I have, by the grace of God, healed in many areas of my life. However, I do still experience things just like other survivors and victims. I still have flashbacks of situations that I remember, some that I don't, some that just come back to me out of the blue. I still have dreams that come out of nowhere of where I am being molested or sexually assaulted, a lot of times by my dad and sometimes by other people. I have triggers, smells, words, phrases, And I have very minor emotional setbacks when watching, reading, and discussing certain content. Um, which brings me to the reason why I decided to do this video. I've been advocating for sexual abuse in a more subtle way for many, many years, but I've been asking God to show me or give me a way where I could be more vocal. And probably over the past year with these allegations resurfacing, because they're not new, with these celebrities, it's really fueled me reading a lot of these comments and seeing how within this rape culture that we really do not have support for our women. And it is extremely disheartening, and it's extremely disheartening when we don't have that support in our community, because we are really, our race is the one that's losing our women, men, and children by the droves. And it's really, really sad when I read these comments and see how people are still making excuses and defending these predators and pedophiles, and would rather maintain their legacies as opposed to holding them accountable for drugging, raping women, all because you don't understand the reasons why these women don't come forth or choose to settle or whatever. Well, that's what I want to address. There's 3 particular questions that I've been seeing. I saw them with the Bill Cosby thing. I saw it with R. Kelly, Woody Allen, and if I could keep going, I could probably think of some more. But the first one is, why not come forward then? After everything I just told you guys about my experience, my dad gave me all of the same reasons that I better not tell anybody. No one would believe me. I'm going to break up the family. I'm going to hurt my brothers and sisters, blah, 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 blah. Everything to scare me and intimidate me from not telling nobody about what he did. Okay, why not come forward then? For that reason. You guys, here it is. The first allegation was back in the 70s. We're in 2014, and you guys are still re-victimizing the victim. So that's why we don't come forth right then. If my sister had not found the journal or the piece that I wrote about what my dad did to me that first night, I'd have never told anyone. When I ended up getting sick and having to go to the doctor, and my cousin told me that they had this piece of paper in hand, they checked me, my hymen was broken, they had to report it. I cried like a baby. I begged them, please don't tell nobody. You my cousin, don't nobody have to know. They said, no, we gotta report it. So I had to deal with that crap. But had that not happened, I'd have never told anybody. So that's why they don't come forth immediately, for those who needed that answer. Second, you ask, why take money? Why they settle? First off, understand you got a bunch of young kids. The first girl was 17 years old. And I promise you, at the age of 13, had somebody came and offered me $50 to keep my mouth shut and not say nothing, I'd have took it. I'd have probably took 5 at 13, because I ain't know no better. And I was too afraid. And it's real easy to accept money for immediate gratification as opposed to going out here and trying to fight rape culture. Understand, rape culture is not just the people that live right next door to you or the people you working with or socializing with every day. Rape culture is society. And whenever you can go online and you see these articles about these men or whatever, and you got all these people steady berating and coming at the victim. I don't believe that. What person is going to want to come forth? I take money too. Let somebody throw a couple of 20 some thousand or whatever $1,000 at me to not have to deal with y'all and then deal with my personal. Yeah, because it's easier to not have to fight the public. When I went through what I went through, I had to fight everybody. My father's family turned against me. The people in the community turned against me because he was a local celebrity. I had the pastors of my church who were all working to try to get him out. I was disrespected in the streets. I couldn't walk down to the store. I had men talking to me any kind of way. I had one man say to me, yeah, I could get that because her dad was getting that. One time I'm getting ready to get in a fight with this chick over her dude. I was seeing her dude, but I didn't know that was her dude. So she wanted to throw bows. I'm ready, okay? My dad taught me. I'm standing there ready to throw bows. This bitch gonna say to me, that's why you was sucking your daddy's dick. Come on. I have had to fight my hometown. I couldn't go to school without being talked about, laughed about, taunted. We have to fight everybody. Think I wouldn't take money. And the third most asinine and ignorant question that I keep hearing in the midst of these allegations is, why bring this up now? First off, people, reading is fundamental. Even the Bible says, study to show thyself approved. Just go do the research. All you got to do is Google it. The stuff is there. It's been out there, God, forever. And there were two women. Barbara Bowman is one, Bowman, who came forward when both of their statutes of limitation was up. That meant they stood absolutely nothing to gain. No money, no prosecution, litigation, whatever you want to call it. They couldn't do anything. The only thing they could do was tell their stories and support, and that's exactly what they did. And Barbara Bowman is actually still advocating and telling her story as we speak. I just posted an article where she was giving her account of what happened with Cosby about a day or two ago. So she is still out there speaking. And like I said, these women have had nothing to gain, and they're still being berated and ridiculed and disrespected just for telling their truths. Also, another reason to bring this up now is because countless men, women, and children are being raped every day. I mean, the people you work with, the people you socialize with, when you walk outside your front door, when you go into the grocery store, people right there in your community, there are people who are being raped every day, every minute of the day. And they're scared to come out with their truths. Why? Because of this whole rape culture. And all of these people that are berating and re-victimizing the victims. Also, whenever you are making these excuses, protecting these predators, the only thing you're doing is making it safe for them to go out and victimize somebody else, to hurt somebody else's child, somebody's sister, somebody's mother, to basically break another soul. And the third reason why it's important to bring this stuff up now, because those who are knowledgeable about molestation, sexual assault, sexual abuse, rape, violation, whatever you want to call it, from that first initial violation, you change. Your life changes immediately. Immediately. It's just like I said, in my experience at 13, my cognitive senses and abilities and skills and everything were just coming together. And in that instant, the man that I trusted with my life, my dad, made me question myself to the point where I didn't trust my own instincts. So we who are knowledgeable, who have had the experience, or at least have dealt with someone who have had the experience, we know that everything changes forever. And I'll always say, you might as well take a gun, put it to the victim's head, pull the trigger, and kill them, because essentially you have taken their lives. It took me over 20 years to realize that my life was in shambles because of what my dad had done. My finances, my relationships, oh gosh, everything was just in turmoil, and I didn't realize it because I was Superwoman, thinking I had dealt with everything. That what my dad had done to me had created residual effects that messed up my life. So with that being said, we need to talk about this now, because there are countless men and women and children who have come through their experience or share their experience, but some who are still living in their darkness, and they're suffering. They're suffering in silence. You got those who have already come through, but like myself, like still experiencing the flashbacks, the dreams, the triggers, and things like that. You have those survivors who still experience things, and then you have those who have yet to come through who are still experiencing. Again, we need to make a comfortable environment where these people, our victims, know that if they come out with their stories, they're going to be supported, and they're going to be accepted, and they're not going to be ridiculed and disrespected and re-victimized for telling the truth about what somebody did to them to hurt them. Because like I said, I'm 41 years old, 41 strong and proud of it, because I didn't have to be here. But in those 41 years, I'm still trying to correct things in my life that have happened because of the abuse at the hands of my father. So those are the reasons. Those are the reasons why we need to talk about this stuff now. Okay, guys, I am the poster child of not looking like what I've been through. And I am putting my life, my business on display for the world for two reasons. In everything I do, I like to help, heal, educate, motivate, and I like to make you think, challenge your rationale, because there's always more than one way to skin a cat. And I never look at any situation in one way. And as we already can see from all these comments, that we do need to change the dialogue, because we do need, and that cannot be stressed enough, that we do need to create an environment, a society where our victims are comfortable with coming out with their experiences and not feeling like they are being ridiculed, disrespected, and further victimized. Second, absolutely, is to help and heal. There are plenty of people out here in this world who have had my experience, similar experiences, and even if you think you've only had minor violation, if it was anything that was done to you, I don't care if it was written down on a piece of paper, if it permeated your spirit in any form or fashion and didn't make you feel good in your spirit, then it was violation, and it needs to be recognized. And what I do know is that if without recovery, God and my recovery, there's no way that I could have sat here and had this whole conversation and shared my life and my experiences with you without breaking down, crying, being really emotional, and experience like immediate psychotic episodes or whatever. I've done that prior to my recovery, and it could have very well happened. But by the grace of God, I have healed in a lot of areas in my life. And just know that for those out there who have experienced any type of sexual assault or rape or violation, there's so many things attached to that: guilt, shame, fear. And I understand all of those very well, but understand this: in keeping silent about your experiences, again, it's really important to understand that you're only protecting the predator or the pedophile. You're keeping silent, and you're making it possible for them to go out and hurt someone else, harm someone else's child, wife or husband, or because men do experience violation a lot more than we realize. So when you keep silent about your experiences, you're allowing other people to be hurt. And essentially, just my opinion, I feel like the blood is on your hands. I've had that experience too, to find out that someone violated me, and because I didn't make mention to anybody about the violation that I experienced, it caused someone that I care very deeply about to be violated as well. And when I found that out, it just really broke my heart and led me, really more to understand you have to speak out, because when you don't speak out, you yourself are still being further hurt, because it's hard holding on to that secret. It eats you up. But then on top of that, you allow somebody else to get hurt. And if you're anything like me, that right there tear you up in your spirit just as well. And also, it is important, guys, anyone out there who's holding on to an experience, when you choose not to give your experience to the world to at least try to help somebody else, you essentially saying that your experience was for naught. It was for nothing. That in this life you experienced maybe something heinous or whatever, and it was just nothing. Like somebody just didn't have nothing to do, and already aspects of your life are messed up. You can't deal with certain things. You got hang-ups on certain things. I absolutely refuse to believe that all the things that I have been through in this life, to be raped, molested, and all that by my dad, then to turn around and be raped, molested by other men and women and ridiculed by a whole town, and I can't get up and sing in church, and I got people touching all on me just because they want to. I refuse to believe that I experienced all of that for nothing. So I am on a crusade. I don't care what nobody say about me. You guys, or those who did it, I've been going through this since I was 13 years old. I have had everything said to me. I have had everything thrown at me. I have been called everything but a child of God, and I'm still here, and I'm still standing. So nothing you say can hurt me no more. Whenever I took on all those griot readers, I prayed, God, please give me the strength to be able to deal with whatever I might read here. Ain't none of that stuff bother me. Don't nothing bother me like that. For what? Look at me. I am the poster child of not looking like what I've been through. I could be dead. I could be in jail. I could be drugged out and all of this. There's so many things that I could be, but I'm here intact, A to Z, 41. I think I look good. I'm doing good. I got my mental intact. Who's gonna argue that? So I'm just saying, whether you are a survivor or you are a victim and you just need some type of pep or encouragement, or you just want to share your story without any judgment or without being further pressed to share your story, because what I do believe, even with strongly believing that you should speak out on your experience, I still believe that people should go at their own pace. You shouldn't be rushed to do anything, and not let anybody rush you on your experience. You need to take your time and do it on your own. It's also important to know that a lot of times it is simply a relief just to speak your experience. I have had so many people that come to me and they might be 40. I had one lady who was about 75 years old. I had never met her face to face, but she knew of my experience or my story. And I talked to her and she broke down and she was telling me about something that happened to her when she was a child. This lady was 75 years old. And all I did was listen and was accepting. And this lady cried and cried and cried. And she said, you know what? I just feel better. And a lot of times you just feel better if you can just speak your story, because when things happen, what we do, we hold on to them. I thought about committing suicide several times, and I even tried, and it almost worked, because why? We go up in our head and we have these conversations with ourselves, and we talk to ourselves more than we talk to God, and we begin to feel with the guilt, the shame, the fear that we ain't nothing, because those predators have already made us feel like everything is our fault, and it's not. It's time for you guys to come out. So if any of you guys want to just, like I said, need a pep talk, I'm always on Facebook. People hit me up all the time, and I don't mind giving conversation to anybody as long as I'm not busy and working on anything. So if you want to reach out to me, you can reach me on my email. It's melwilson0714@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook under Melody Wilson. I have several fan pages. I have Girl Mel's Nails, Madam Melody, Girl Melody, and the Long Nail Beauties Association. All of those are fan pages where I can be reached on those. And I'm also on YouTube, on Instagram. I think I'm girl_melody714. And on Twitter, it's Melly_Mel2009 on Twitter. So you guys can get at me. Like I said, as long as I'm not busy, if you just need a pep talk, if you just need someone to listen to you and hear you speak on your experiences, I am here, because I'm here to support all of my brothers and sisters. So I really appreciate those who gave their time. I hope I was able to change some minds. I hope I'm able to open up some dialogue and not just get talked about, because I know I'm going to get talked about, but it's okay. I don't care. So if you guys want to reach out to me, I'm here. I thank you so much for listening to me, and I say a special, special, special prayer for all of our survivors and for all of our victims. But just know that with God, all things are possible. And if you haven't thought about it, consider that recovery. There's also Survivors of Incest Anonymous. And if you reach out to me, I will get you any information that I possibly can. So thank you guys so much for sharing your time with me. I hope that I have helped and healed and educated and motivated and changed in some minds. I love you guys. Thank you. Namaste. Mwah.